Welcome back, Shadow and Flamers. I agree, it's been far too long. It must seem like an age. I'm sure I've got a few more grey hairs since the last time I did a video. It's been that long, and I apologise for that. Things have been a bit manic of late. Lots and lots of commissions to be getting on with. Some personal projects which I've been trying to squeeze in just to keep myself sane, and obviously real world things getting in the way as well, which can't be helped. But anyway, on to today, and what I want to talk about is Armies on Parade. Now, if you don't know what Armies on Parade is all about, basically it's a little chance every year. Games Workshop do Armies on Parade every year around October time, where you can display an army of your choice for whatever game system you choose on a 2-foot square board, and you take it into your local Games Workshop and you can show it off with all the other participants, and they're usually a good selection of different armies to have a look at, and people get quite creative with the boards. For years my local Games Workshop tried to talk me into doing a Lord of the Rings army on parade, because they're quite aware that I've got loads and loads of miniatures, and I never really get a chance to show them off. But normally I was so busy, that I didn't have the time or the inclination really to get on with the board and paint up a whole army just to display it for one day of the year. But that changed last year. I had a bit of a change of heart, and I decided that I would in fact get something done for this October. And I had an idea at the time which I thought was a pretty good idea. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but for reasons we shall go into, that project has been halted, unfortunately, but also for a good reason. So we'll also talk about what I'm going to be doing instead. We've had to make a substitution at half time, should we say, keeping current with the football tournament. So yeah, that's basically what we're going to discuss. We're going to look at what I was going to do for Armies on Parade, why we've gone away from that, and then we're going to have a look at what I'm going to be working on now. It's all still early stages, so don't get your hopes up too much. Hopefully this will end up like a bit of a vlog. It definitely won't be weekly, because I've still got all my other stuff to be getting on with, but hopefully maybe monthly. And I'm just thinking, if I get this out on video, I'm going to be more inclined to follow it up rather than just stashing it away in the corner of a room and just using any excuse to not get on with it. So let's go and have a look. So if you hadn't already guessed by now, the focus of my original Armies on Parade force was going to be Iron Hills Dwarfs. Now if we go back a year or so, I'm not exactly sure of the time, but there weren't any Iron Hills Dwarves available from Games Workshop. Well, there still aren't, but at that time we didn't look like we were getting any at all. So I figured the best way I could get an Iron Hills Dwarf force was to do some conversions, and you've probably already seen the videos where I change the Grimhammer models, that's these guys, change them into these Iron Hills guys using a conversion sprue that I designed. and I think it worked pretty well for its time. They're not exact replicas of the movie versions, because you're never going to get that with basic conversions. Obviously, I could have changed every single one so it looks like it does in the movie, but that would just be a ridiculous undertaking. And the general aesthetic of the Force is what counts, and I think I was on the right roads to sort of achieving that by switching out the helmets and the shields and weapons and so on. Now I was going to have, there's 2 warbands here. I was going to have a third warband of troops for the board, but not only that, I was going to have additional stuff as well, which we'll talk about in a second. Incidentally, that's the reason, the whole reason the project stalled is obviously because of the announcement from Games Workshop, their new Middle-earth design team. One of the first releases is going to be obviously the Iron Hills Regiment, which is fantastic news, but it does sort of make my project a little bit redundant, as there will be official models coming out. So not sure what I'm going to do with these guys yet. I'll wait and see until I get some of the new ones to see how well they sort of fit into the Force. I might be able to sort of bulk up the numbers a bit with them. But if they're too far different, I'll probably end up popping the shields off of these guys and giving them octagonal ones and using them as Warriors of Erebor, the armoured guys. So that's the backup plan if they don't fit in with Games Workshop's new models. So I guess we just have to wait and see for that. So that's the sort of basic foot troops. I mean, obviously he's the Grimhammer captain, giving him a bit of a mohawk. This isn't Dane, he's just a generic captain. My idea for Dane was I was going to scratch sculpt him, and he was going to be like the last piece of the puzzle for the Force, as like a reward for getting everything else done. But obviously, after having seen the amazing one that Keith Robertson's done, I think he's pretty much nailed it. So I won't be sculpting my own one. No need, as I'll be getting a full official Iron Hills Force when they are finally released later this year, hopefully. So let's move on and have a look at what else was going to be on the board. Oh, incidentally, the board itself, I haven't really discussed that. Thankfully, the board wasn't designed, or I had an idea in my head what it was going to look like. Basically, it was going to have the walls of Erebor on the back, on the back edge, with the Thorin's company, Champions of Erebor, sort of overlooking from the balcony, overlooking the rest of the Iron Hills Force, which would look pretty cool, I think, on like a rocky landscape. But that wasn't to be. Nonetheless, other things are afoot, so let's have a look at what else was in progress. Okay, so moving on then, we've got like the basic for the command units, which were work in progress. Obviously we had the hornblower, just kind of started work on that, and we got the banner bearer, which was just a basic layer of brown stuff. Still needed skinning over, and there was going to be an emblem of a boar. I was going to sculpt that on there as well, which would look pretty cool, I think. Obviously the banner itself would have been thickened out like a wood effect, so that just would have given it a bit more a visual appeal. Not sure what I'm going to do with these guys yet, to be honest. I might still finish them off, because there's no... I can always put the original helmet caps back on them, because Grimhammers don't have any command, apart from the captain, of course, which was that guy. He was the Grimhammer captain, given the mohawk. But there's no sort of command unit as such. So I might do that, or just change them up to the Warriors of Erebor guys, which I mentioned earlier. So they were in progress but never finished once I abandoned the project. Let's get rid of these guys. Now, obviously, these guys, this was going to be my twirly whirly conversion. Obviously, that's the Isengard ballista. Just changed up to have a siege engine crew. So there's this kind of captain guy. He's like, and hold there, guys. We're going to fire that way. There's a little finger on there. Right, so a little bit of fun. The guy actually pulling a trigger. Right. He was going to do that, and we started work on a twirly whirly ammo loader. So that's what he was going to be. But oh no, no more. Incidentally, these were going to be converted up. Obviously, I wasn't going to leave them like this. I was going to put the correct wheels on and rehouse the main body of the siege bow there. So it'd be a lot more like it was in the movies. But that was going to be my base model. And I had another one. And I even went all out and I bought another 2 boxes. Which is madness in hindsight, but anyway, that was going to be the siege engines. So there was going to be 4 of those bad boys on the board, all with their own crew, based on these guys. But again, not to be. What I'll do with these, I don't know. I might finish them one day, or probably not once I've had a new ballista, because that is awesome. But anyhow, that was just another idea. So let's have a look at house. Right, so Dwarf Chariots, obviously a big part of the extended edition. And for the basis of those conversions, I was going to use the Chaos Warrior Chariots from the Warhammer or Age of Sigmar range, should I say, these days. As I thought, it's probably my easiest way to get a basic chariot and get it to convert up. Obviously, ignore the mounts. I'll swap them out with some scratch sculpted rams, which I never got around to doing. But the chariot itself, I thought was, take away these horns. I mean, it's got the armoured wheels with the blades. It's got a well in the front for someone to sit in for the automatic cannon arrow firing machine that's in the movies, and plenty of room for a stairwell on the back. And obviously redesigned the panelling on the front as well. So that was my basic idea for that. Oh, if you want to see, I mean, I haven't done the crew, but if you want to see how big they are for reference, yeah, so that would be, so I think it would look pretty cool actually once it was done up. But again, probably not going to get on with that because something at the door. Just pause there. Okay, sorry about that. New toy delivery from Games Workshop, which is always good when you get one of those knocks at the door. Right, so yep, that was the plan for the Dwarf Chariot. Now I was aware, I mean, these are the old Warhammer bases that they came on. That's no good, obviously, for Lord of the Rings. The oval bases, which Radagast comes on with his sleigh. Also the dragon, large oval base. I was aware that trying to get 6 rams on the front of that was always going to be a big ask, even if I put it right to the back, like the Radagast one is. I was going to struggle. So what I ended up doing is ordering the the Titan base from 40k, which is also oval, but it's much longer. And what that would enable me to do is have the chariot on the back with plenty of room for lots of ram muscle power to pull the chariot, and it just would have helped. It would have been too squashed on the smaller oval base, I think, and it didn't really matter because you know, at the time there was no rules for it, so you know, basically make it up as I went along, really. Who's to argue? But anyway, that got abandoned because I know GW are going to bring one of those out. They'd be fools not to. So that's basically the force. There was going to be some ram cavalry as well, the old ram riders or goat riders, whatever you want to call them. I was getting about half a dozen of those, which have been Grimhammer conversions as well. But like I say, we're probably going to get those as well from Games Workshop. So that got abandoned. So while it's a nice little project to work on, and I had lots of good ideas for conversion, you know, the whole force is either converted from existing models, Games Workshop stuff, or a couple of scratch sculpted bits, which would have been perfectly fine. But aside from that, obviously we used the Shadow and Flame conversion sprues, which, if you haven't heard by now, we have decided to discontinue them, purely for the fact that we don't need them anymore, because there are official models coming out. So you don't have to go to all this trouble, you know, converting these guys to Iron Heels, when you can just go and order an official model and have no issues whatsoever with it. So that was the Iron Hills Army on Parade concept and partial work in progress. So that has since been abandoned. So I had to come up with a new idea, and let's have a look at what that is going to be. Okay, so the new force is going to be Gundabad, just because I fancied keeping it in theme with the Iron Hills. You know, I'm excited to get the Iron Hills Dwarves when they come out, and also I want a force for them to be able to fight against in a themey way. So I figured, why not? We'll flip the coin and go the other way and come up with Gundabad. So what we've got here, with, I think there's 30 Gundabad orcs and a captain as well. I might end up getting another one, and also just plop through the door. Okay. We've got another 6 warriors to join that, so it'll be 36 in all, and it'll be 18 with sword, 18 with spear, because this is a nice sized force that I wanted. I like the figures. They're nice models. The only thing I don't like about them is the swords. The spears were actually better than I thought they were going to be from a fine cast point of view, but the swords are just so thin that even when you straighten them out with hot water, after a few days they're just gone back to their wiggly ways. So I may end up swapping those out for plastic hard ones. I mean, they're not all like that. Some are okay, but it's just the odd one or two. It's like a proper spaghetti sword. You know, it's ridiculous. But other than that, I decided, because the whole board is going to be a rocky landscape, trying to recreate that scene where they burst out of the ground. Going to have a couple of scratch-built wereworms forcing its way out of the rock. It will be higher up on one corner. We'll have Azog up there with his signalling system. That's going to look pretty cool. And like I say, the main bulk of the force will be these Gundabad's, but we have got other stuff going in there as well, which we shall move on to shortly. Took a while basing all these guys up. Every single one of them's on a piece of slate. Not because I wanted them higher up or anything, just because it sort of adds to the theme a little bit better, I think, because it's going to be quite a rocky board, and we're going to have, I might even put some snow effects on there as well. So yeah, so that's the bulk of the force. Oh, this guy here, incidentally, I forgot to talk about him. Obviously, he's been converted to a banner bearer. That's just the basic banner shape that I've put on at the moment. It's a very thin layer of green stuff, but it's gone pretty hard, so now I can work on that. Yeah, if you can hear that. Yeah, it's pretty stiff. So we're going to add some more folds and just tidy it up a bit. But yeah, that looks pretty good. Moving on. Okay, so we've got some Gundabad cavalry, the old wargs. I don't know if you remember this scene from the movies where they're trying to chase down the chariot on the frozen river, and old Balin gets left behind to try and deal with them. These are basically hunter orc cavalry, obviously with the top half of the Gundabad orcs, the armoured ones, and we've just sculpted new armour over the top of the hunter orc legs, which are attached to the wargs. Okay, and then just put a little bit of cloth on the rear there. All right. Kept in the same sort of theme with the rocks as the infantry. Okay, also got the same problem with the swords. In fact, I think these are even worse. Yeah, they're just, you know, I love the models, but the material, wow, needs some work, like I say. I mean, you could say that the swords are all bent because they don't look after them or whatever, but I don't really like it, so I'll probably end up switching them out. I mean, this one is not too bad. It's fairly straight. So, and that one's okay as well. So about 50% of these guys, you know, have dodgy swords. Now these have all been primed grey, and then the rock's been painted in. So I have started work on painting them up. Same with the infantry. You probably just assumed that they were straight out of the box stuck on, but no, everything was based and then primed grey, which is why everything looks this colour. Not really much else to say. I mean, it's a pretty easy conversion. You can see what I've done there. I mean, if you want me to do a video showing how to do it, I'll be more than happy to do that. Comment in the underneath the video if that's something that you would like to see, because no doubt once people have a look at these, I'll be ending up doing some more commissions. I did think about, because I'm not a big fan with the wargs themselves, I'm not a big fan of the bold spots. It just irritates me. I don't know why, but yeah, I'm still undecided. I may go back over and fur up the entire back of the warg, just because they're in a winter setting, you know, marching off to Ravenhill. It's pretty cold, so they'd have their winter coats. But I don't know. Depends how much time we get, basically, because we're running out. But that's the cavalry. There's only going to be 6. Obviously, I'll have the I'll get 6 fell wargs as well. I've got those in a box upstairs. They'll be obviously for the dismounts. but they'll be going on the board as well as just regular wargs, just to fill it up a bit more. So yeah, that's the cavalry. Let's have a look at what else we're thinking about. Right, so what good would Gundabad be without any trolls? So we're going to be doing a couple of conversions for those as well. We've got, this is the Troll Chieftain model, fine cast. What we're going to do is get rid of that head, and we're going to substitute in the old metal Isengard troll head, who I think works pretty well. Yeah, so this troll is going to be the one that chases down the chariot with the two big shields on his arms. Okay, so he's basically going to be running after them. Obviously, you've got to build the shields out of plastic card and a bit of green stuff, but once it's done, I think he'll look pretty cool. Yeah, I think the head works really well for that troll based on the screenshots I've seen from the film. So yep, so he's going to be one of the trolls. The other troll will be basically a redo of a commission I did this year for a lad called Bradley Coddington, and that was the Stumpy troll. And what I'll do is I'll flash up a picture of it here. I was really pleased with the way this model turned out, because originally it was just supposed to be a repose of the Mordor catapult troll with a Gundabad orc on its back, but it just really wasn't working, so I ended up reskinning the whole troll, covering the whole thing in putty, and much to the benefit of the model, I think it's a lot more screen accurate now, and it works really well, and I was quite sad to send it away, so I shall be making another one for myself because I enjoyed doing it so much, and that'll be an addition to the army. Okay, so that's the trolls. So if we move on to the heroes now, obviously we've got Boggs in both his incarnations. Don't pay too much attention to the paint job on this guy. I did a quick base coat on him when I first picked him up a few years ago, but as usual went on to other things and never really finished him off, so he'll be getting done finally. Probably rebase him on a rock to fit in with the rest of the force as his new role as a Gundabad General, and the Boggs model, which is, wow, it's one of my favourite models actually in the Hobbit range. He's just so imposing. I much prefer him to the Warg Rider one, which isn't so good in my opinion. I think the Warg is ridiculously long. There's no need for it to be that long, or on an oval base for that matter either. But hey ho, it is what it is. That's what we got to work with, so that's what it shall be. Got to paint that up. Alright, so moving on to Boggs' dad, we've got Azog, and Azog's probably the most converted character I've done in recent years anyway. You can see the sort of evolution of him as he's gone along. So that's the original Azog on foot from Games Workshop. That's a conversion I did, behead in Thrall. We've got the one, a replica or a resculpt of the one I did for SBG Magazine issue 2, which a lot of you would have seen. He's going to get some paint on. We've got the Lieutenant version, which came out for the 5 armies, but still no armour. So we've gone for this. I call him Touchdown Azog, just because he's holding his arms up there. But he's got the old armour on, which was all sculpted on. Not a bad model, but perhaps not the most dynamic. I did mean to do another one of him leaping forwards. I still might finish that off, but he won't be definitely ready for this lot when I paint them up, which I hope to do all together to keep the sort of theme the same. And you've got the one. This is another one I did. Originally I did one of these for Phil Aberton, I believe it was, Azog on Ice, which is a nice model where he's battling Thorin. The good thing about this is I've made it so you can come out. It will be magnetised. I'll put some magnets in the bottom, so if you want to, you can sit on a 25mm base for gaming purposes. Right, but yeah, he's a lot chunkier. He was based on this Azog as the base model that I sculpted the armour over, and this one's a lot chunkier than the original, and definitely a lot more chunky. Let's have a look actually while we got them out, just how different they are. So this is the one from the mounted version. He's a lot smaller than the foot version, and when you compare him to this one, body wise, he's very, very thin. There you can see, yeah, you know, just the difference in scale. This one's a lot more like he should be, I believe, and this one was just a little bit left behind. He's more like the old scale for Lord of the Rings models, like the old Rohan and Uruk-hai, which were quite tiny. He got a bit left behind. This is how he should be. So with that in mind, let's have a look at the mounted versions. So here's the mounted Azog model. I started painting the white warg, as you can see. It's still work in progress. Still a few layers to do, but at least I've started stuff. Obviously here's the dismount. I've taken the rider off and just green stuffed fur back on from where the legs were. Okay, it's just a case of hacking him off carefully with a knife. But like I say, he's a bit undersized, this one. I'm not over keen, so I probably won't use this Azog unless I'm doing a hunter orc army and the armour is not needed. So what I've been working on more recently is the armoured version. Okay, so this conversion is based on the old Wild Warg Chieftain, and I've just replaced the head with a plastic Wild Warg. It's a little bit undersized, the mount, if you compare it to the other one. Yeah, so it's a little bit smaller, but if you haven't got that one, I think he fits in just fine with, say, the cavalry models that I've been working on. It'll be okay. All right, so a new Azog on top, looking good, very commanding, just how I want him to be. He'll tide me over until we get an official model, which I'm sure we will. Incidentally, this has all been primed and started painted as well. If you're thinking, oh, how come he's so grey? He was green stuffed originally. Unfortunately, I didn't take any work in progress pics of that. I think I do have some of the riders actually, but we can talk about that if we do a video for them another time. So yeah, let me know what you think. Any good? This is just for my own personal army. No one else has got one of these at the moment. So that's pretty much the army, apart from one warband of goblin mercenaries, which I plan to do, which will just be regular Goblin Town plastics with green stuff, armour sculpted over the top, but not really anything to show you there because I haven't started them yet. And that's pretty much going to be the force, unless I can think of anything else. But there's plenty to be getting on with. I think I've given myself quite a challenge, just doing what we talked about. I think it's going to be good. Hopefully we'll have a start on the board the next time I do one of these videos. As I've got the board itself and all the foam. It's just a case of mapping it out really and deciding how best to go about it. But more of that when we come back next time. If you like what you see, comment below, like, share, subscribe. Let me know if you want to have that Gundabad cavalry video. That shouldn't be a problem. It's pretty simple. Was I right to abandon the Iron Hills in light of Games Workshop move? I think so. Knowing my luck, next month they'll probably leak a Gundabad release with a load of stuff in, and a load of this will become redundant. But I don't think that'll be the case because the Gundabad orcs are already out. I mean, the cavalry will sit up fine even if they do bring some out, and as will the goblin mercenaries. The trolls, well, maybe not. We'll see. But the board itself will look pretty epic, I think, once with the whale worms popping out of it, and it'll be good. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next vlog, if not before. Hopefully it won't be as long in between as this one was with the last video. So in the meantime, merry miniature modelling, guys.